Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. Moving over to my hometown team, the Washington Wizards. I'm talking about the Wizards, man. I know it sounds wild. I'm giving the Wizards a C plus for their offseason moves as well, and why. It's like, what the fuck did they do? They didn't add anybody. Wizards ain't got better. They're still going to be like the bottom of the Eastern Conference. They're going to be in the basement per usual, and they might be. However, I am expecting in a much depleted Eastern Conference for the Wizards to at least be more competitive this season. And it's not because of some big names that they have on the roster. It's because of the collection of veteran players and those players that have been like key cogs in offenses in the past, coupled with the young players that they have on their roster. I'm expecting this Wizards team to actually be a decent team. They might be this coming season's Detroit Pistons from last season, where they win some 20, 25 more games than they won the previous season. I'm expecting like that kind of a year out of Washington, and that's because of the consummate professionals like CJ McCollum, who they added from the Pelicans. CJ, since leaving Portland, man, just can't catch a break. This dude's just, I thought, you know what I mean? Like the Pelicans move for him a few seasons ago was like a good place. Like, good, man. CJ finally got onto a good team, but then, or a decent team where they can make some noise and win and make the playoffs, and he can, you know what I mean? Like have a run in the spotlight. But then Zion couldn't stay healthy, and then the team just couldn't get it right, man. And it's just so CJ's seemingly in basketball purgatory right now in Washington, but I think CJ is going to be, one of those players that just kind of helps to at least bring some professionalism and to bring some consistency there for them. So at least they're competitive. Finds himself in a similar situation to, to the Pelicans, where it's almost like you're just suiting up to be like, "Fuck, are we doing out here? I guess we're just playing ball." But I think it's going to be a lot more fun playing here in Washington with these other pieces. Dylan Jones came over from the Thunder, like I said. Hard to crack the rotation over there in Oklahoma City, man, where there's just so much talent. So maybe Dylan Jones, gets a chance to come over to Washington also, and like I said, contribute, man, to make it, much more interesting. Kelly Olynyk, I won't say I'm a Kelly Olynyk fan, but familiar with Kelly from his years here in Phoenix as well, and just, it's been a journeyman in the league. But Kelly's there in Washington as well. And then the Cam Whitmore trade. So the Rockets would offload Cam Whitmore, as a part of that 17 trade that sent Kevin Durant there. Cam, again, was going to have issues cracking the rotation and was already having issues cracking the rotation in Houston as it stood. But definitely, certainly with Kevin Durant coming in, you know what I mean? It's just going to make it like that much more difficult. So Cam Whitmore here gets a chance to, get some shine out there in Washington. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that kind of looks like. We'll take a look at just, their depth chart and projected, starting lineups potentially. You got Bub Carrington out there, obviously. CJ McCollum, like I said, they just added Coulibaly, Middleton. And I almost forgot that Chris Middleton was out there. So Chris Middleton even gets some veteran leadership to come out there, man, and kick it with him. Like, yo, bro, what's good? Hey, bro, what's good? Like, to have you on the team here. So it might actually, make it worth it to, like, to, like to play a little. They're trying to play their way out of basketball purgatory as well. So Chris Middleton's out there. Obviously, the second-year player, Alex Sarr. I didn't realize that Marcus Smart was banished to the Wizards also. But Marcus Smart is out there too. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you got a CJ McCollum, Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton. Like, these guys are veterans in the league. You know what I mean? They're not washed up. They're not over the hill, but they provide enough, I feel like, veteran leadership and can provide enough veteran leadership to get the rest of these guys, you know what I mean, kind of up to speed, man. So just a decent roster overall, I feel like, of players. And so we'll see what, these Wizards have in store, man, for this coming season. Like I said, I gave their offseason moves to this point a C plus. Moving on and staying here in the Eastern Conference, the Orlando Magic. And I give them a letter grade of a B for their offseason moves. And that's obviously because they took care of Mo Wagner. So the Wagner brothers, are still intact there, which is good. Paolo, would definitely need some help. Paolo's been rounding into form every single season, getting better and better and better as a young player. So we love to see it. I love that they were able to add Desmond Bane to this roster. Looking at Desmond, when Desmond Bane, obviously hampered by a few, kind of seasons of injury in previous years out there in Memphis. And I was wondering, like, what happened to Memphis? You had Ja with the gunplay, Des Bane with the injuries, and I was expecting them to kind of, once they all got back on the court together, to be that team that they were, showing, hope of being a few years ago, but it just never materialized. And I was watching Desmond Bane through this past season, and I just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like he was out of place. And so I'm happy to see him move on from Memphis, hoping that he'll, be the kind of player in Orlando that Orlando needs, because again, partnered with the Wagner boys, with Paolo, and just adding him in, man, I feel like, could be a big deal. They brought over Tyus Jones also, brought over Tyus Jones, because Tyus Jones was out here in Phoenix through last season. They lose Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Gary Harris as well. I don't think what they lost is that big of a deal relative to what they brought in. So I feel like the KCP move, obviously, when they brought in KCP, it was to extend, the floor a bit and for him to give you that touch from the outside. But I don't really feel like KCP, did that. And I feel like they were still okay without KCP's, you know, uh, imprint on their offense just from the outside. So I feel like, Desmond Bane can offer what KCP was offering at the least. And especially with the offensive output, side of things. Tyus Jones just, kind of filling in for a Cole Anthony is a similar trade off. So I grade them a B. I give them a B for their offseason moves. And we'll see what Orlando looks like this season. I'm expecting big things from them. They've been competitive the last couple seasons, certainly hoping that they stay healthy. Paolo went down with injuries early in last season, and so did Franz Wagner. So I'm hoping that, Franz Wagner went down with some injury, and then I think Mo was done for the year. So I'm just kind of looking for health. And so we talk about the health thing again. They can stay healthy. Hopefully they don't get hampered by the health issues early in the season as they did this year. Because I feel like Orlando would have been a whole lot better if Paolo, I think he had like some rotator cuff issue or something like that, or some kind of a tear or strain, or I can't remember exactly what the injury was. Slips my mind right now, but it caused him to miss a significant amount of time early on in the season, which kind of had them on a bit of a decline in terms of games that they were losing, only to peak when Paolo came back, fortunately, in enough time for them to still make a playoff run. The darlings of last season, the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference. I say darlings because obviously they were the surprise team, and they turned the boat around, and they played very well, made the postseason. I give them a B plus for their moves here in the offseason. Paul Reed, they were able to extend out, but they brought in Karis LeVert. They're going to bring in Duncan Robinson as well. I love Karis LeVert, obviously, from his days in Brooklyn, and everywhere Karis goes, buckets follow. Karis is a bucket, man. This dude's a bucket. Karis can play ball. So he did the same in Brooklyn, did the same in Cleveland when he was there. Man, the dude can hoop. You know what I mean? So happy to see him joining the fold in Detroit, because as well as Duncan Robinson. Obviously, Duncan Robinson comes in with his ability and his touch from the outside to spell Malik Beasley's monkey ass, who Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even gonna get into it. But Duncan Robinson, is a replacement in that regard. I felt like as I was watching Detroit play last season, that's one thing that I felt like that there wasn't enough offense. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, man, they don't have enough buckets, and so I'm glad that they're bringing in, you know what I mean, like some scoring punch for them. They lose Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dennis Schroeder, or Dennis Schroeder, I guess was a part of some deal that would get him because he ended up in Golden State. Some that I can remember the lead from, but I can't remember where he ended up. Maybe Dennis Schroeder did end up in Detroit um, to close out the year. As a matter of fact, yeah, I believe that he did, coming over from Golden State in the Jimmy Butler moves. But um, again, I'm glad to see Karis LeVert out there to help to add to the offense as well as Duncan Robinson, man. So I gave them a B plus because of their moves. It is what it is. I'm rambling into maybe the only other team that I gave an A here. Now back out to the West Coast, the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets. Welcome home, Bruce Brown. They bring Bruce Brown back. They deal Michael Porter Jr. the fuck out of there and bring in Cam Johnson, who I'm familiar with from his years out here in Phoenix, as I said. Obviously he moved over to Brooklyn. The next team that, if I had a team that would be my team from years ago, as a basketball fan, when I used to do fandom like the average person. The Nets were my team, but yeah. So I'm familiar with Cam Johnson, top to bottom. Man, I think that move to get rid of Michael Porter Jr., bring in Cam Johnson, actually gives them the same exact player, with the exception of a heavy reliance on threes. You know what I mean? Like, I think Cam's a more well-rounded offensive player. So he'll look to, I mean, he'll shoot some from out there, but he's not just going to just spot up out there and just shoot, you know what I mean? Like, 3 pointers to the detriment of the team. I think that he has the ability to put the ball on the floor, to get to the mid range, obviously to score at the basket. So Cam Johnson's a huge pickup for them. Tim Hardaway Jr. they add also, who should get some run out there in Denver as well. So that's a really good pickup. Jonas Valanciunas is a wild card now. I was hesitant to take this away from an A and down to like a B minus or something, just because, or to a B rather, just because of the Valanciunas thing. Jonas Valanciunas is a great addition. However, it's being reported that he's thinking about, leaving the NBA and going back to play, to rejoin his Euro League team, just for this season coming up, or not just for this season, but this season specifically coming up. And so I don't know if that's going to happen because he's under contract. He can't just leave without forfeiting the money. I mean, he could leave and just say fuck the money. I don't know what's happening, but I heard about it this past weekend and I was like, what? That's crazy, because I was really excited that they added Valanciunas to that lineup, man, to give Denver more depth and to give them more of a well-rounded roster, just to give them more hope. Denver, when they lost Bruce Brown a few years ago, they were like, "Oh, okay, Christian Brown's just gonna be the one that steps in to replace the Bruce Brown impact." And it didn't necessarily play out that way. I think Bruce Brown was really good in his role, and Christian Brown was really good in his role coming off the bench. And that once that dynamic changed, it just kind of changed everything. And so again, I'm not certain if they'll be able to get back to that because now you have a new coach, and so that whole system of offense, while it could be the same, it might be a whole lot different. Who knows? Based on the personnel, but it should just be interesting to see this Denver Nuggets team retool a bit and still be competitive in the West, because they've been competitive in the West regardless of kind of keeping the roster, in spite of, I guess I would say, keeping the roster the same. You know what I mean? So seeing them kind of make some changes, man, excites me for Denver this upcoming season. So again, that's why I gave them an A. Let's talk about, that's been the basis of this episode. I just wanted to go through, these teams. I didn't talk about every team, like I said, man. So let me know if you agree. Share your opinion and comment. Also, like the video if you haven't done so as well. Man, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.